Commission meeting will come to order, and it's Wednesday, September 28th.
Are we on the air? Okay.
Just introduce myself.
Yes.
I'm Richard Meany.
Nick Campusano.
Patty Gale, staff.
Jean Walker.
Kim Ricard.
Chuck Freiberger.
Today we have people here to discuss a dredge and fill that we all have in our packet that we had a chance to look at. And would you like to present it, or?
Sure.
We have an easel up here, if this is easier for you. The dredge and fill is on 27 Cove Street, map 21, lot 56. And it's a inspector instruction of the place.
Some extra copies that you can look at. Take some photographs.
Yep, sounds good. Kim?
Um,
Them another one, yeah.
All those pictures are better than the ones that were in the packet.
All right.
So as you mentioned, this is 27 Cove Street, which is part of this, I can't remember what they call this little neighborhood down here. They have a name for it.
Oh, Lynchville Park?
Litchfield Park, yes, thank you. Part of Litchfield Park, and it's out on a point out here, and it's owned by, they're called the Secular Institute, and they own this 1¼ acre parcel here. And they've been there for several years, since the 60s, and he's got photos, they have photos of what this looked like back then. I guess this land stuck out further into the river. And evidently back in the 60s or 70s, there used to be a little island off the page.
Mhm.
And somehow they permitted to get that removed. And since that time, the boats go through here at a much greater speed than they used to, evidently, and it creates a wave action that has been eroding this bank for quite some time. This bit of land used to stick out further, and then this has been erosion along this beach. It's eroding back here also, but not quite as severely. This is pretty heavily vegetated. So we're basically starting the project from here, where it's not as heavily treed, and going around the edge to the close to the property boundary on this side, and trying to save that small beach from eroding any further. If you look at the overhead aerial view, so we're talking basically from here, where the vegetation stops, and wrap it around this point, and then stabilizing this beach as well. That's just a different view of it. You get over in here, in this other view, this house is pretty much abandoned, and I think they want to, see if that was here. This one over here, pretty much abandoned. I think they want to take it down at some point. It's not being used at this time. And this part over here it's much steeper over here. But you can't see signs of erosion. And during the Mother's Day floods, I mean, this whole thing was underwater. And that's really what started this whole process. So, the first idea was to put gabions out there, but when we talked to the state, and they said, no, that's really not a desirable approach. So, what we did, what they've been permitting in the past, is to put block riprap below the water line, the normal high water mark, and then put a Filtrex, basically a Filtrex sock above the water line, and that sock is, you have vegetation shoots in the sock, and they take hold and root into the bank, and so you end up with a vegetated bank above the water line, and then you have stone riprap below it. So what's really going on is that the wave action's hitting this bank and undermining it, and the sand's being taken out from under these trees, and they're falling into the falling in the water, and we want to stop that from happening. And we're going to try and preserve these trees as much as possible and go ahead and do this bank stabilization. Because it is a water impoundment, it's dam controlled, we can't fill in the water at all. We have to keep the same storage, so we are gonna have to remove a little bit of a material to put the stone in, and then, put this Filtrex sock along the top of the bank, and it'll seed and take root and stabilize the bank. The roots will stabilize into the upper portion of the bank. And that's pretty much it. So the wetland impact that we file with the state is based on this frontage around to here, and that's what we applied for, so.
So everything that you'll see up above will be vegetation?
Yes,
It'll be, the stonework will be done
underwater. yeah.
underwater? Anybody?
And we'll do this at low, when they draw the pond down.
This is all standard erosion control.
Yes, this is an accepted practice. This is what we were recommended to do by the state. And this company that actually does this space right here in Goffstown, Erosion Control Solutions, I think is the name of it. It's been a while since I talked to them, so.
Are there any other questions? David?
No, I mean, I thought it was, when I looked over material before coming in here, it all seemed pretty clear.
It did seem pretty clear from the packet, yeah.
Okay.
Could I just
Yeah.
have your name for the girl?
Sure, it's Nathan
Nathan.
Chamberlain.
Okay.
Kim?
No, it sounds great. I think it's a
Amy,
great
yeah.
idea. No questions?
No? Do you have any questions of us, or any of you?
No, not, besides the erosion of the edges of the bank in there, the land also goes down because the water keeps, and you see it, the land sinks a little bit. And if we cannot do that, I have one concern because the neighbor on the bottom right corner there,
Over here.
within 75 feet of the river, has a leach bed there. So if we do nothing and eventually the water will take over the whole section there, then what will happen? I'm concerned that if we don't prevent this somehow, it could create a future problem, because of that leach bed, which is fairly close to the river.
David?
Yeah, I actually have one question. When I was looking over the materials the other day, I believe it said after you did the stabilization that you were going to try to revegetate that area as well, or?
Yeah, whatever is disturbed will be revegetated. I mean, there's gonna be, shoots and saplings in the Filtrex itself, but there'll be a little bit of disturbance behind the
Yeah.
sock, and so we'll have to loam and seed that.
I just wondered if you had any particular species or planting strategy or something in mind that would help, for stabilizing it in the future, so you don't
Right.
continue to get erosion.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's all part of the design that this erosion control specialists are gonna do when they do the sock.
But they don't identify what species of plants are in that system?
They do, but I don't have that information at my fingertips right now. I'm sure it's all, non-invasive native stuff, right?
How long of a process will this take? I was just curious for that, because it's quite extensive.
Yeah, I would say probably a week or two.
That's it? Okay.
I don't see it being a big project.
Okay.
How far away are you from approval? I mean, will you do it this fall when they lower the lake?
I don't think, and they've had it for some time now. I'm not sure we have enough time to get it in before this. Were you anticipating getting it done this fall?
I had in mind to do it if we had the permit and with the permitting, I would mind to do it this
I
fall.
mean, we'd have to get the permit in pretty short, within a couple of weeks, or
Yeah.
to
And if
get
we're permitting,
mobilized.
if we can, we'll do it this fall. If not, we'll wait till springtime.
Right.
Any other questions or concerns? So we pass it on to you.
Yep. Do you want to make a recommendation to DES on the permit?
Sure. Does anybody have a recommendation to make on this?
Because they're waiting for comments now from you. I sent the standard letter requesting time to allow for you to review it and make a comment.
David, did you
Yeah,
want to make a recommendations on the planting?
Well, I mean, the question was just asked a little bit ago about when planning to do it and, you know, pointing out that it's getting late in the season and maybe that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense anyway because the part of
Kinda
the
pass it going.
stabilization that vegetates wouldn't have a chance to get going and growing and then the spring floods might just take it right back out, so you might actually be better off doing it in the spring for that reason. Cause you know you're gonna get flooding in the spring, so
That's a good
some
point.
level of, but yeah, I would say that, I would recommend to the DES that
that-
it be approved.
That would be approved, yeah.
Did you want to make a motion to recommend, or just?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I'll send a letter out.
Great, thank you.
You want this? Yeah, here.
Whatever you don't want, I guess.
I get it all with the dredge and fill.
Have it all? These packets?
No,
No,
we keep those.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the Tar property at Mountain Base Pond. There are 4 little parcels, and this has been offered to us. And I just want to tell a little bit of history because Susan Tucker, who's not here today, is very concerned about the one at the Pearson Road because it's next to the small pond. That is the overflow pond from Mountain Base where the dam is. And when that runs off that, it goes into that little pond. When the road right there was paved and there's a ditch, the sand has filled about 1/6 of that pond in already. And DPW was asked if they could dredge it. They could not dredge it because it was private property. So this little piece is really important to the town in general because with that little piece of property, now they can go in and they would be able to dredge that pond and keep it open, which is a collection for overflow. And she was saying that it's getting pretty full and if it fills, it will run over onto Wallace Road. So that piece is a really important piece. And then we have the other pieces that kind of adjoin what we have on the mountain, on the incline. So I don't see any,
And I know this has
That's
come
right.
up before, but I doubt on these, there's no old building that we'd have to take care, right? There's nothing on any 4 of these pieces? Okay.
no, there's no structures. These pieces, this Tar property, there's a much larger parcel that's in Bedford. These-
Yeah, this is completely disconnected from that. though.
Right,
When
it's
I
the same-
first heard it mentioned before I saw the map, I thought it was, there were 3 pieces on the border of
Right.
Bedford that,
They,
but it's not that, this is.
these are
completely separate.
totally separate, but I think it's
Yeah.
the same trust.
Yeah,
But these, so I think all we need is a motion to accept
Yeah.
these parcels.
Has it been confirmed that there isn't anything on them, drums,
But I
you
think
know,
that-
some of
that's
them,
just the
have they been
board.
walked? So they're clean?
I believe they are.
I believe you have to go through the board of selectmen to accept the land.
So we just have to make the motion for the Board of Selectmen to accept it.
recommended.
Recommend it, right?
Recommend.
And there's an acquisition form normally that gets filled out, that gets circulated, so I don't know if they've started that with them.
Who fills that out? Us?
Usually they go into administration and they approach the town taking, recommending it for conservation. And there's a form that gets filled out and then
Is-
it gets
Is
circulated.
that done through the Selectmen?
Probably Sue's office.
Probably with Sue off, okay. So we just make a recommendation
That we,
that we would like to have this, so if
The
somebody
town
needs,
acquire the land.
somebody has to make.
I'd just like to make a couple
Sure.
comments on it first. One is that the one with the drainage issue, I mean, this has come up before us
Mm, yes,
several
it
times
has.
in the past.
Yes.
And not just for us, but also for other town departments too, because after the Mother's Day flood, for example, that whole thing got filled in and it needed to be cleaned out because it is a catch basin. And it's been a problem for the town because it's not their property and they felt they couldn't just go in and do it.
Right.
So this actually will be a benefit for the town to be
For the
able
whole
to
town.
finally maintain this. And then these others, like you said, they're isolated. Almost everything around them has already been gone over to conservation. I don't know, you're probably not familiar. This is on the incline railroad going straight up to Southland, Connecticut. It was kind of the Goffstown's equivalent of Florida swampland purchases years ago. Sold all these little lots that nobody could ever possibly build anything on. And slowly they've been reverting back to the town over the years. So it's almost completely filled in now. These are probably a couple of the last.
I believe there was a change in the tax, the way they were being taxed before through the trust, and it was changed after this was looked into. And so I think that's why they came up to be given away. So we need a motion from somebody.
I make a motion that we recommend to the selectmen that these 4-piece properties be put in conservation land.
Second that.
Okay, and budget. Oh,
Need a
yes, vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, budget.
Budget. Thank you, Jean Walker, for reading them last month
Oh,
for me.
you're welcome.
The only change in our current balance is from the interest of $15.11. This brings our present budget at, for the current balance of $296,562.97. Our operating budget stands right now at $2,198.79.
Okay. Open space, David, anything to?
Yeah, it's grant writing mania. So, we've got the OSI grant application just went in the other day. We got the LCHIP application in and submitted, and that was really something. Actually, I've written grants for years, and I've never seen a grant that demanded so much documentation and paperwork. That's like orders of magnitude above anything else I've ever seen. And it, you had to make all the copies for everything, so we hand-delivered a stack of paper 1 foot high.
Wow.
So I'm going to ask something that I've never asked before, because I've always just, covered the expense of these things in the past, but this ate through so much ink on my
No,
inkjet
really.
printer. I was gonna ask the commission if I could get a reimbursement for the ink cartridges, and that it is expensive. It's $80.98.
You're doing it for the town and for,
Right.
I agree that we should reimburse you for that.
That's
I don't-
kind of
I don't
why
care
we
about
have
the
that
paper
conservation
and the
That's right.
budget.
but it,
That's
At
right.
some point,
It is for our expenses. And for 1 foot high of ink, and for you to spend all the time doing it, if that's what you, doing it for us, I think, I vote, my opinion is yes.
Need to make a motion.
I make a motion that we reimburse David Neiman for the ink, for all his hard work. I can't reimburse you for that, but for the ink that you spent all your free time in sending these grants in.
What about the paper?
Yes,
I don't care about the paper. It's-
the ink cartridges are wicked.
Yeah, they are
Besides, I
expensive.
just had one clean, clear receipt for the ink.
Somebody want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
You have to mention the amount for the,
Oh, no,
$80.98.
For, what is it?
it's $80.
$80.98.
$80.98, because it has to be printed in record. Okay? And we
Second
take-
it.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything else, David, for open space?
so anyway, the LCHIP grant application went in, and the OSI application has gone in, and now we're currently working and wrapping up on the Moose Plate grant
Oh, that was,
which is due by the 7th. That's the one that the town administration alerted us to,
Mm.
which is greatly appreciated.
That would be Derek.
Thank you, Derek.
yeah. Yes.
Just going along with our open space report last meeting, where the commission expressed a desire to come to the board. I brought that up to the board at the following meeting, and they were receptive to that and would like to have a briefing on to where we stand with that project. So if you want to schedule that with the town administrator, that would be great.
Okay, sounds good. I'll do that.
It is good. Anything else on open space? All set?
Well, I guess we'll hear about it later, but we learned over the past month that there's a new, the Forest Society is working on a new regional initiative. And it's a plan in progress, so it's not out yet, it isn't finished, but it's called the Merrimack Valley Greenway. And I think they will be contacting departments in the town to get feedback, because what they're doing right now is first what it is they're looking at all the rail trails that have been going in, like Manchester's rail trail system and how that connects to Auburn and goes on to the coast, and then the Goffstown rail trail going in and being connected next summer over the river. They began to look at that and wonder how can they network parks and preserves and places together so that there's destinations off this trail, rather extensive trail grid, which is starting to build out. And that's basically what the plan is going to be about. So they call it the Merrimack Valley Greenway. They're starting really with Manchester and all the surrounding communities, so Hooksett, Bedford, Goffstown, and so on. And kind of as the core and the pilot for the program. It may expand later up and down the river in both directions, but this is the epicenter for the moment. So they'll be coming, and I mean, they've got a lot of meetings scheduled. They're just going around all over the place, and eventually they'll get to Goffstown, and I don't know if they'll come to conservation or
I think they,
planning or
Susan.
whatever.
Well, we just went, that's David and I went to Susan's for that. Yeah, and they're starting in Manchester because they said they hadn't been into Manchester area before. David, you're right. They want
Well,
to
they
start.
said that, but we've had
I know, but
Forest Society
did.
projects, so.
they did say that. But yes, there are a lot of individual meetings going on like that around town already to
But the
discuss this.
So, once this is out, this will be a regional initiative, and the interesting thing about that is that the Roberts Farm really fits
Fits
very,
right
very
into it.
well with what it is that they're trying to do, because it will be able to connect to the rail trail from Kennedy Hill Road, Class 6 road, which goes all the way down. I mean, perfect. And so I've been working with people at the Forest Society and making sure their data on Goffstown is up to date. And told them about this project, and they're very interested, so it'll probably end up being part of the plan, but again, the plan's under development, so there's no final product yet. If that happens, though, that could be really, really helpful in private fundraising, to have it be part of this broader initiative, and it could be very helpful for future fundraising for work on the rail trail itself.
It's a win-win.
It's a win-win for everybody.
Okay, thank you. There any changes or to the minutes? Anybody have any corrections?
Yes. There are two E's in my name, and every single instance of the spelling of my name is incorrect. M-E-A-N-E-Y. Find and replace. Works wonders.
Anything else?
I'm abstaining.
Okay. Anyone make a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as modified by my last statement.
Okay, seconded?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
One abstain. Two
Two
abstain.
abstain. Anyone against? Okay, two abstain.
Right?
Okay.
For the first one.
The correspondence, we had a letter from the DES acknowledging the receipt of the conservation comments for William Letropitz's property, map 11, lot 10, and the conservation recommendation for granting of the variance for lot, map 34, lot 37 on Pleasant Street to the addition of the house within the watershed district. And we have the newsletter and town magazine, if any of these are interested. And we have the DES alterations terrain permit for St. Anselm's College for the center green and parking lot 42, lot 62-1. And we have the utility maintenance notification for the line work along the state farm. And then we have the intent to cut for nil on map 10, lot 12, Tenney Road. Do we have that here?
Yeah, it's Neville.
Neville, do we have this? Must be in this file. Does anyone want to see the?
I'll take a look.
Okay. It's not it. Yeah, forestry department. Is that it? That's one of them.
It might be stuck in there. Or it might be in here still.
Oh, I might not have pulled it. That's one I just gave her.
Should be in there.
You always see utility. I think I just gave it to her, didn't I?
Okay.
Oh, here. There's another one. Okay, let's see. The notification that a shoreline permit has been granted by the Godfrey's 39 Shirley Park Road, map 35, lot 16. And then we have the Audubon publication here, the Scattersquag, requesting nominations for the 2011 Gordon Russell Award. Anybody to nominate? And DES notification of the forestry notification of findings for 112 Wallace Road, map 5, lot 92.
What is that about?
They were granted a forestry for a timber harvesting of the property, and the forestry disqualified them because of a wetlands crossing. When you do a logging road, you can only go over a 50
Small.
square foot area, and it went beyond that.
Okay,
So they, for the forestry notification of going over that, they have to, I believe, now get a regular wetlands crossing,
okay.
like a dredge and fill.
And we have one conceptual plan here for the Moose Club Park Road. This is the, you may want to take a look at this map that was put out. It's just a conceptual,
Yeah.
and it's going to be an apartment. There are apartment buildings in between, and this has come to Patty.
This is like,
Part of
this is the,
Abington?
yeah, this is Abington Square. This is like that last phase that they're in the, on the other side of the brook, and the access is off of Moose Club Park Road. They're coming
Yeah.
conceptually for 2 apartment buildings, which will
Behind
total
already?
48 units.
48 units.
There's a, if you go behind Shaw's, there's an access road that goes up off of Moose Club that accesses this property. So this is just conceptually,
So this is above and beyond what they've already done.
yes.
Is it the same group of people that
It's
did?
still zoned by St. Anselm's College or Order of St. Benedict. It's, the name, and it's apartments, not being proposed as condos. Where is
Oh,
it?
here it is.
It's right
Yeah.
here. The name is Ignos, Ananox,
Anagnost?
yes,
Ananox.
Investments.
Yeah,
It's not, the affordable it's not the same name that did the affordable housing.
Manchester Neighbor Works. I think was the
Manchester,
one
yeah.
that did the other
So
was the other
is
one.
this a different developer than the developer that did that project, or is this the same developer?
I would say it's a different developer. They're still using TF Moran, which is, who's done all
same this.
the engineering through each project.
Okay.
Did we look at this like way back when it first came up and they had proposed this right along the river?
This wasn't exactly the way they proposed it.
They did a conceptual
visual.
of either condos or duplexes or even some type of housing.
But it wasn't quite to this extent, I don't believe.
Well, it would be more if they did like duplexes.
Duplexes, yeah.
It wasn't apartment buildings.
So these are apartments, not condos.
Yes.
Apartments.
Doesn't mean that they won't change when they come in to, you know.
It'd be 48 units.
They could come in as proposing as garden-style condos later. I don't, just, alls we have is what you have.
So it'd be 2 apartment buildings with 48 units.
Shows that within the, like, the corners kind of touch or go into the 100-foot wetland conservation district. I'm trying to read the lines, but it looks like it's in a flood zone A. I don't know. It's got the river right there.
I mean, it's, you know, where they're looking at.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Where do
one
you-
of the
where do you
notes,
see that?
note number 8 says that a waiver will be required to allow alteration within the 100-foot wetland buffer, so your interpretation is right on.
Mm.
So I submit to you the conceptuals, just to let you know what's going on, if there's, I mean, I assume you would want them to come in. when
Oh,
they come
yes. Oh, yes.
in. This is on October 13th before the planning board.
If I recall from I mean, this is all sand, right?
Yeah,
This is just it's really steep,
Steep.
Stream is just cut right down through the sand, so
Contour lines.
those footprints are pretty close to the edge of that.
They're calling this Phase 5 of Abington Square Mixed-Use Development. That's what they're calling it.
I don't think they could build that without doing some kind of stabilization work, because it's on the edge of that steep, just
steep
sand.
sand.
You know, built on the edge of a sand pile, it's not too stable, which means it would be coming even more into the,
wet.
There's a letter kind of outlining if you want to look at it.
Would we want a site walk on this after the presentation? You know, as
Oh.
enough people, I've never been out there, but no.
well, it's a conceptual, so.
Conceptual.
No, but I
it's-
mean,
it's-
yeah.
Yeah, it's conceptual. We definitely would want
Yeah.
to sidewalk this when we got closer to.
They generally do conceptual when they want to ask like certain questions of the planning board to get a feel of how to really design the plan. And it might even be the wetlands buffer is an issue.
Mm.
So they want to get a feel for that to see how they,
So our comment would be that we would want them to come and do a presentation.
So there is a chunk of land in there that is zoned commercial now?
yeah, the whole thing's
The whole
commercial.
thing.
Yes.
It's
You know where it
8-something
says, you know,
acres.
Rite Aid
This
is-
side is.
Oh, yeah.
Rite Aid's on this side, they put apartments and buildings back there, and then this is the other corner of the property.
Do we have any other comments? At this, just that they need to come in and discuss it?
And you'd want a site walk.
And we will want a site walk. yeah.
When they submit for a site plan.
Most likely.
Well, that would be my comment would be concern over getting so close to those steep sandy slopes.
Mm.
Has any of this been to the planning board yet?
Not yet. On the 13th is when
Mm.
they'll submit to them.
Yes, we have, and we have the pumpkin regatta on here. Yes, everyone's jumping.
I've done it how many years in a row? I've been down at the river, down when it's been snowing.
Anyone interested in being in a pumpkin? Okay.
Do
Right
a
past
booth.
that, isn't it?
Yeah, it would be to do a booth.
Oh, it'd be, I guess we'd have to do a booth. David, yeah. Anyone gonna be able to do a booth?
I can't, it's the same time as my
Yeah.
regatta every year.
You're doing a booth, right, David?
No, I got grants to write.
I thought maybe you were doing something with open space there. No. Is there anyone that?
Should be there, but, you know,
I
there's
know,
only
and
so
we
many
can't do
hours
it
a
all.
day, so.
I know. Is there anyone available for a booth or a little something? I know. I guess we pass. Unless someone notifies you very soon that,
That they wanna,
yeah, that they can. Do we have any other
no,
business?
only because you're not doing a booth, it's gonna be a beautiful day.
I know.
Oh, my God, it's been terrible other years.
I know.
Windy or cold or snow?
Or snow,
Yeah.
and, or slash freezing rain.
Right.
No, the worst was the year I went down and set up and had a great spot on the common, which we'd never gotten there before, but only because they canceled it 2 hours in because the weather was so bad.
I think I saw you as I went to in the rain.
You mean you were by yourself?
Pretty
There
much.
were 2 of us by ourselves, and I think 3 people came by until they finally pulled the plug that year.
Yeah.
So there was no event that year.
We have any other business that needs to come before us? Then do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
I'll second it.
Favor?
I
I believe we're done.
I know. I'm gonna